Welcome to Life Groups. My name is Eddie Rester. I'm one of the pastors, and I'm glad that you've chosen to gather with a group of friends and maybe new friends to do life together, to talk, to visit, but also to explore your faith. In this session of Life Groups, we're going to look at John chapter 3, but not the part of John chapter 3 that everyone's familiar with. John chapter 3 tells the story of Nicodemus coming to Jesus. Jesus says the famous passage, for God so loved the world. But right after that, there's another story where some people come to a guy named John the Baptist. John the Baptist had been baptizing people, preparing them for a new life. And one of the people who came to John the Baptist for baptism was Jesus. And some people came to John the Baptist to drive a wedge between John the Baptist and Jesus. And they said, hey, look, Jesus is baptizing people, and he's baptizing more people than you. What do you think about that? And there's this conversation about baptism. Baptism is one of those moments that begins our Christian journey. It doesn't matter if you're baptized when you're 3 months old, 30 years old, 60 years old. It's the beginning point of our Christian journey. I don't remember my baptism. My baptism took place when I was just an infant. My parents took me to a Catholic church and had me baptized by a priest. I don't remember it, but not only do I not remember it, I was the middle child, so there are no pictures of it, no certificates, no proof other than my parents promising me that I was baptized. But here's what happened on that day. My parents offered me to the church, and they claimed the grace of Jesus Christ for me. And from that moment, I've spent the rest of my life trying to understand, what does it mean that Jesus Christ has claimed me in grace? What does it mean that Jesus Christ has said yes to me, not just once at baptism, but that Jesus has continued to say yes to me across all the years of my life? One of my professors used to say that we spend our entire lives living into our baptism. And here's what he meant by that. We spend our entire lives trying to figure out, what does it mean that Jesus loves us enough to say yes to us, but also what does it mean for us to have moments where we say yes to Jesus? Here's what I know. All of us across the years of our life have these significant spiritual moments where we remember again Jesus' love for us, and we're called to say yes again, or to say yes in a new way. We have these encounters with Jesus that change who we are, that change the trajectory of our lives. I want you to think about some of those stories as you prepare to talk with each other in this session. I want to offer you just a couple of my stories. When I was 15 years old in 1986, our youth group went to Lake Junaluska for a summer retreat. During one of the sessions, led by a man named Keith Elder, who's a pastor, still a pastor in the United Methodist Church, he spoke to me in a way that I finally understood that Jesus loved me. I was 15. It was a difficult season of life. I was a kid who loved to read books in a town where the heroes were all football players. I couldn't play football. Who was I? And what Keith Elder was able to speak into me was that I was a child of God, that I was loved and accepted for who I was. I said yes to Jesus that night. I walked forward and had people pray over me as I accepted Jesus' love for me. Another time where I said yes to Jesus happened after my freshman year at Ole Miss. I was a summer youth director in Clarksdale, Mississippi, at Clarksdale First Methodist. And there was a morning, I'd been struggling with the call to ministry, trying to say no. I was a pre-med major. I was supposed to be a doctor. But one early morning, I walked into the sanctuary and I rounded the corner and walked down the center aisle, and the sunshine was coming in the gorgeous stained glass windows. And I heard the whisper, "This is who I've created you to be." And I said yes to Jesus again, that I would submit to the call of Christ on my life. There was no one there that day but me and Jesus, but this significant moment of yes. There have been thousands of other moments across my life, some of them big, some of them small. Some of them came with moments of renewal, public affirmations. Some of them were just quiet moments between me and Jesus, or me and a couple of other friends. But I've had the chance over and over to say yes. to the yes of Jesus. And when that happens, my life changes. So let me ask you, what are some of those moments in your life where you've said yes? Part of the story we talked about from John chapter 3, after these people come to John and try to drive this wedge between John and Jesus, John makes an interesting statement. He understands that he has baptized Jesus, but not only has he baptized Jesus, he's begun to follow Jesus and trust in Jesus and believe in Jesus. He said yes to Jesus. And he says this, I must become less, and he must become more. Every time we say yes, every time, big or small, that's what happens. We become less, and Jesus in our lives becomes more. Maybe this season of your life, this time, this moment, this week, this month, maybe it's time for you to say yes again. Maybe you've had a sense of renewal. Maybe you've had a sense of just a disturbance in the soul. Maybe it's time for you to commit again to the one who said yes to you years ago in your baptism. So talk together. Talk about those moments when you said yes. And talk together about what it might mean for you or for your group as a whole to say yes to Jesus again in this season.